Good morning and welcome to Sportuccino. We are live on Facebook Live at sportuccino.com is where you'll be able to watch all of the previous videos, but it is facebook.com/Sportuccino right now. We've got a fantastic show for you today. So much involved on the show once again, and here are your morning headlines. Boxing heavyweight champion Tyson Fury admits to Rolling Stone magazine that he has done lots of cocaine to cope with depression. Maria Sharapova has her drugs ban reduced to 15 months. England captain Wayne Rooney admits he deserved to be dropped by Manchester United. And F1 team Mercedes agree a deal that could see them join Formula E in 2018. So lots to talk about in the world of sport once again. What do you think about Tyson Fury's admission that he was using lots of cocaine and it was helping him deal with depression? Maybe give me your thoughts on that on the comments page below, live on Facebook. Also on Twitter, #Sportuccino. What do you think of that? Also, what do you think of the Court of Arbitration for Sport reducing Maria Sharapova's ban down to 15 months? It was initially 2 years. The ruling actually wasn't overturned, that she was done for using meldonium, being banned for meldonium, but it has been reduced. What do you think of that? What do you think about the French Open allowing her to play in next year's French Open in 2017 if they let her? Because obviously she's going to begin the season with 0 ranking points, so she'll need to be invited on certain tennis events and things like that to boost her ranking, but she won't have enough to be in the French Open. So what do you think of that? Should they let her? Should Wimbledon allow her to play? You know, she's done the time for the crime by that point. So is she allowed to be in these events because of what she's done previously in major careers? You know, 5-time major champion. Should she be allowed to play? I want your views on this. We've got the comments page on Facebook and we've got Twitter, #Sportuccino. So much on the show today. We've got a great guest. We're coming to her in just a moment, but I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide co-working spaces and private offices for businesses to create, innovate, and to grow. If you want to learn more about them, all you've got to do is go to labs.uk.barclays. And they're also on Twitter, like we are. They're on @Eagle_Labs. That's @Eagle_Labs. That is Barclays Eagle Labs. They are today's sponsors. They've got branches across the country. Well, labs, in fact. They're not branches. All right, I mentioned Twitter. We've got a poll on today on our Twitter poll. Let's have a look at it. Well, we mentioned him earlier in the show already. Will Tyson Fury ever compete in professional boxing again? That's what we want to know. Will Tyson Fury ever compete in professional boxing again? You heard me mention that Rolling Stone magazine has done an interview with him where he said that he admitted to taking lots of cocaine and that he was basically partying from Monday to Friday to Sunday, all to get over depression. Of course, he won the World Heavyweight Championship against Vladimir Klitschko about 1 year ago, but hasn't defended it since. Was supposed to defend the title against Klitschko in November, but that's since been cancelled after he failed a drugs test. What is the future for Tyson Fury? Will we ever see him fight again? Let's just take a look at that poll one more time. We want you to do it @Sportuccino on Twitter. Let's also have a look at how we did on yesterday's poll. Yesterday's poll was, would you like to see a 48-team FIFA World Cup? And it was pretty close for you guys on Twitter. It was 54% of you said yes, while 46% of you said no. So a bit undecided, but leaning towards that you would like to see a 48-team World Cup. Well, one of the great World Cups recently actually wasn't the one in 2014. It was the one, I think it was last year, the Women's World Cup, where the United States won, and that was absolutely fantastic. Carly Lloyd scored one of the greatest goals I think I've ever seen from about the halfway line. And I mention this because we're celebrating Women's Sports Week this week, and I want to get a little bit more into this today. So I've got a guest from Women in Sport today. It is Nicola Miller. Nicola, welcome to the show. Nicola is the Director of Campaigns and Engagement for Women in Sport. So Nicola, simple questions to begin with. What exactly is Women's Sports Week?
Women's Sport Week is about raising the profile and celebrating everything that's fantastic and successful about women's sport, which we don't generally do enough of. I mean, you talk about the Women's World Cup for football, which is a really great example of a fantastic tournament that everyone got behind. The audience figures shot up. There was way more media coverage. There was TV coverage. But that, unfortunately, is not the norm. It's not the everyday. And I think, unlike with men's sport, where you find it is such a normal part of society, you open up any newspaper this morning, and in spite of it being Women's Sport Week, it's dominated entirely by men's sport media coverage. Only 7% thereabouts of media coverage is for women's sport compared to men's, which is a huge difference. And what Women's Sport Week is about, partially, is about celebrating all the great things about women's sport. I mean, think about Rio was only a few weeks ago, and there was just as much women's sport, and we got as excited about the women as we did about the men. We really like to see that continuing that momentum and happening more and more.
Exactly. I've got Heather Stanning coming on my podcast, The Best in the World with Richard Parr, so we're really going to enjoy listening and learning from her. And what other sports stars have you got involved in Women's Sports Week this week?
Well, Women's Sport Week is mostly about actually going out and getting sports clubs, sport organisations, national governing bodies to stand up and do something for Women's Sport Week, whether it's putting forward an ambassador, a sports star, an athlete, and having them talk about Women's Sport Week, or it's putting on an event, or just really promoting what they're doing to engage more women and girls in playing sport. At Women in Sport, which is the charity I work for, and we're leading on this campaign, we have Rebecca Adlington, one of our patrons, who is really behind us on Women's Sport Week as well. And if you go to some of the other media broadcasters, so two of our partners on this, BBC and also Sky Sports, have dozens and dozens of famous faces and people behind the scenes in women's sport talking this week on their websites and on their channels about women's sport. So it's the whole community, from the elite level to grassroots to coaches to local clubs to individuals. We're getting everyone to talk about and shout about it using the hashtag WSW16.
Well, it's great to get those massive media companies on board, and also Sportuccino today as well, Nicola.
Yes, of course.
Maybe you could explain tell some of our viewers, if they wanted to get involved in any of the events this week, some of the events which you've had so far and you've also got coming up.
Well, we've got people. What we've had asked is for every level of club and organisation to come forward and tell us what they're doing. So we're sharing those opportunities via our Twitter, which is @womeninsport_UK. You can go to womensportweek.org and find out what's happening on there. On the BBC Get Inspired site, they've got a calendar and activator where they've got some activities on there as well. But mostly go to Twitter for us and follow the hashtag WSW16. And everybody who's doing anything for Women's Sport Week will be telling you about it on there and keen for you to get down and see what they're up to. So if you're interested in Rounders, for example, if you Google what Rounders are doing at Rounders England, they'll tell you all the different activities they've got going on this week, and you can go and find out how to get involved.
Well, that's great. Well, you've been involved with Women in Sport as the Director of Campaigns and Engagement. How did you first get involved with Women in Sport, and what's been your favourite moment so far?
I joined Women in Sport almost 2 years ago now, and it's been a real journey. It's been a fantastic one. And for me, I think at the heart of it for me is that I was never a sporty girl. There are lots of sporty girls out there, but there are lots of sporty girls who don't feel that sport's for them. I never felt sport was for me when I was growing up. It wasn't something I had any interest in, really. And it was only really in my sort of as an adult that I started to kind of get interested in running and playing a bit of sport, and kind of thinking, well, actually, it doesn't matter that don't think I'm very good at sport, and it's more about what I could get out of it and the benefits. And really over the years, I've started to get more involved with running. And then I think I'm starting to see the differences between men's and women's sport and how women came off. So we know from figures from Sport England now that 1.6 million fewer women than men play sport every week here in the UK. And that's a huge gender gap that we really need to be addressing, because that means there's 1.5 million women every week fewer than men. are gaining the health, physical and mental health, social benefits from playing sport that men do. And that's it's really important. It isn't just playing sport for the sake of playing sport. It's a real inequality gap. And for me, the passion for sport is what sport can achieve, what it can do for people's lives and how it can change lives. And that's really why I wanted to get involved, why I joined Women in Sport. It's really closing that gap and really challenging where there's inequality and looking what we can do to improve and transform sport for the benefit of every woman and girl in the UK. So that's why I came on board. And for me, some of the highlights so far, I guess, in terms of sporting highlights that I've really enjoyed while I've been in this role, I don't think I can pick out one thing from Rio, although if I did pick something, it would be watching the Team GB winning gold in the hockey. That was just such an exciting moment. And the fact that for me, for our charity, it was particularly because the 10 o'clock news on BBC was moved just so we could watch, so that they could broadcast a women's sport final on TV. I don't know when that's ever happened before, when the 10 o'clock news has been moved for a women's sport final. And that for me was a real, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't a personal achievement, but it was a real achievement for women's sport, which I think it was really great to see that happening. I don't know whether we would have seen that before. And the reaction to that actual fact, both the win and the fact that the TV had been rescheduled to accommodate it, was something that the public really picked up on social media. And that's another highlight for me, really watching the demand for women's sport that's out there through shows, whether it's like this one or whether it's through social media. People obviously have far more of a voice now than they did in the last 10 years because they have the opportunities through social media. So we can see that people want to see this stuff. They want to see more women's sport on telly. They're telling us that through our research at Women in Sport, that audience figures are going up. Even if the coverage isn't going up as fast as we want it to, people want to see it when it's on there. So that, for me, seeing that change and seeing that progress is really what's been the highlight, I think, of working at Women in Sport so far. But we've got a long way to go.
Well, Nicola, I absolutely love your passion, and I love it when people really enjoy what they are doing and they're rewarded out of it. So it's fantastic to hear, Nicola, and obviously we'd love to have other charities talk on Sportuccino related to sport, and I think you're doing great work with Women in Sport, and I want to tell our viewers that if they can get to any of these events, try and help support Women in Sport, because sport is for everyone. Sport is an amazing thing which can do so much for you, not just for your body, but for your mind as well. So, Nicola, just before we go, just a reminder of how we can follow Women in Sport and how the different hashtags and all the different social media channels, please.
Well, the best way to follow what's going on in Women in Sport, for Women's Sport Week, is to follow the hashtag WSW16. It's not WSW 2016, which is actually World Space Week, which I'm sure is brilliant as well, but not what we're here for. Actually, Women in Sport, we're a charity, and everything we do, every penny we get goes towards helping us to change sport for girls and women as they grow up. And today we've launched a fundraising campaign called Women's Sport Wednesdays. So that is about going out there, doing something, getting involved with sport, doing anything at all on a Wednesday, any Wednesday of the year, and raising money to help change sport for women and girls. If you go to www.womeninsport.org, you can find out about how to raise money for us through Women's Sport Wednesdays. And I'd really like you guys to have a look and see what you think.
Well, we'll definitely put those details on our Twitter page and on our Facebook page for everyone to continue to follow. I really like the idea of Women in Sport Wednesdays. I remember when I went to university, Wednesday was always the day for sport. They give the afternoon off, so I think that's the perfect day for it. All the best with it. Nicola Miller, the Director of Campaigns and Engagement for Women in Sport, thank you so much for your time this morning on Sportuccino.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Great chat there with Nicola Miller. If you want to learn any more about Women in Sport, we'll have all the details on our website, sportuccino.com as well. And there's other stuff on sportuccino.com, such as our previous episodes, such as some resources links, ways you can contact us, as well as contacting us on the website. You can do it sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. But one of my favorite parts of the website is the merch page. So that's all on Sportuccino.com. Lots of different ways you can get in touch with us. On the Facebook page, facebook.com/Sportuccino. On Twitter, @Sportuccino. We've even got an Instagram page, Sportuccino. But the big news today is if you like to listen to audio podcasts, we are now on iTunes. You can listen to this show if you enjoy listening to audio podcasts, and we are on iTunes. Just put in Sportuccino. We'll have more details on the website on sportuccino.com. But if you miss the show, if you can't watch it live, even though we're live every morning at 8 a.m., you can watch the show back on Facebook, on YouTube, on the website, and listen back to it on iTunes. Many different ways you can enjoy Sportuccino. And the things we're talking about today is Tyson Fury and his admission that he did lots of cocaine to help him with depression. That was with an article, an interview with Rolling Stone magazine. What do you think of that? Will we ever see him fight again? And in fact, that is our poll. Before we get to today's poll, let's look at the results of yesterday's poll again. Here it was. Would you like to see a 48-team FIFA World Cup? 54% of you said yes. 46% of you said no. And here is today's poll. Will Tyson Fury ever compete in professional boxing again? What you've got to do is go to @Sportuccino to find that out. And I want to know what you think. Will we ever see him fight again? Did you like him fighting in the ring? Was he the kind of guy you enjoyed watching? I got to admit that I absolutely loved it when he beat Klitschko. You know, I thought it would be another very boring Klitschko fight where he's just prodding, and then winning on points. But actually, Fury went there, won, became the world champion, and, you know, there were so many things open to him, and it's kind of been a slippery slope since. The dangers of fame, I guess, for Tyson Fury. You know, I think a lot of us would have liked to have seen Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury down the line. Best of British fight. You'd also have there, you know, in what I'd call wrestling terms, the bad guy, Fury, the heel, and the babyface, the good guy, Anthony Joshua, who everyone would support. And I think that would have created an amazing dynamic. Will we ever see that fight? I really don't know. Give me your views on the comments below on Facebook and also on Twitter. Okay, now it's that time in the show where I like to review a certain product. So, the last 2 days have been products I personally use. You saw me have the Grenade Carb Killer protein bar. You saw me try the Reflex Instant Whey Pro. They're all on our website, sportuccino.com, and on the YouTube page. And today, I'm actually trying something I've never tried before. Again, this product hasn't been provided to me. There will be products in the future which will be provided to me. Again, I've got a really good one for you on Friday. Check that out when I try some compression tights down the gym. A few kind of weird looks I got there, but never mind. We'll discuss that on Friday. I was actually in the supermarket yesterday. I was in the free from area, looking at what's gluten and dairy free, and I came up with this. It's the Naked Cocoa Orange. Here it is. Let's have a look at it full screen. Naked Cocoa Orange. Let me tell you a little bit more about this. It is a raw fruit and nuts whole food bar. It's one of your 5 a day. They're wheat, dairy, and gluten-free. And let's see some of the nutritional information. What you'll see is not very much protein. There's only about 3 grams of protein. Quite high in carbs, 15 grams. And it's about 145 calories, kcal. And it's all on this Naked. You get 3 in the pack. I have never tried it. So let's have a look at me trying to open the wrapper. Here we go. So here it is, the Naked Bar, NAKD. They're on Twitter, by the way, @NAKD. If you've tried it, let me know what you think of it, because I might be wrong, but I've never tried it. I'm going to open it now. It says nourishing and delicious, cold pressed, never baked, no added sugar or syrups. 100% vegan. Okay. I do like my meat. I can't open it. This is embarrassing. I'm going to have to do my teeth. Here we go. Let's go. Let's do this. All right. Oh, it's soft. It's very orangey. It tastes like a chocolate orange. It's quite, yeah, it is quite smushy. They say it's smushy. I quite like it. It's very chocolatey. Oh my goodness, yeah. Cheerfully vegan. They've got some more things on the back here. Join the whole food revolution. Replace over-processed foods with nourishing whole foods and get ready to be happy. We all like to be happy, don't we? These satisfying slices of simple goodness are a great place to start. Hope you love them as much as we do. Nature is nice. Well, yeah, nature is nice. 100% natural ingredients. So, while I still eat it, let me know if you like gluten-free or dairy-free, or if you like that product. Let me just give my final thoughts on the Naked Cocoa Orange Fruit and Nut Whole Food Bar. Yeah, I haven't thought about giving it a rating out of 10, but maybe I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I'd have them again. I don't like the fact that it's not really a protein bar. If I'm going to have a snack, I want a protein bar. So I'd rather have something which can boost the guns. You know how it is. Not that I really have any guns, but you know what I mean. If there's any kind of food you'd like me to try, as ridiculous as that sounds, related to health and fitness, any products related to health and fitness you'd like me to try, put them in the comments page, put them on hashtag Sportuccino. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Okay, remember what we're talking about today. We are talking about, do you think Tyson Fury will ever fight again in professional boxing? And also, we're talking about Maria Sharapova's ban from, her ban has been reduced after she was found using the drug meldonium, which apparently she had been using for about 10 years, but then in January it went on WADA's banned list. And then she got caught using it and has since been banned for 2 years, which has now been reduced to 15 months. What's your thoughts on all of this? Do you want to see her play again, or can you really trust her? Or do you think that she was just unfortunate, or do you think that she was just being made an example of? I'd love to get your views on this. On the hashtag Sportuccino, on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Sportuccino. So today's show has been brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide co-working spaces and private offices for businesses to create, innovate, and to grow. Their website is labs.uk.barclays. They're also on Twitter at @Eagle_labs. That's at @Eagle_labs. They've got labs across the country, including Bournemouth. If you're in the Bournemouth area, why don't you pop in? I'm sure they'd love to have you in and have a cup of coffee. In Brighton, they would certainly welcome you, and London as well, and the many different labs they've got across the country. So that is today's sponsor. It is Barclays Eagle Labs. Thank you so much for them for sponsoring today's show. If you would like to sponsor the show, really easy. Send us a message on email. It's sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. If you've liked the show, please share it on your Facebook page. Please talk about it on Sportuccino so we can continue to build our audience. And please get involved if you've got any thoughts on the show, anything we can improve. You know, this is a journey. This is a place where we're going to go and we're going to grow and we're going to get better, and we're going to hopefully do things at sports events and sports conferences in the near future where we'll have live guests, not just guests on Skype. Also, if you have any guests you'd like to see on Sportuccino, who you'd like to learn from, send us a message on Twitter at Sportuccino. Send us a message on Facebook, because effectively this is your show. If there's things you hate and say, Richard, stop trying protein bars, then I'll stop trying protein bars. If you say, I love you drinking protein shakes, then I'll keep drinking protein shakes. If you say, I hate your headlines, they're not very good, I'll make them better. This is what it's all about. This is your show. We are adaptable. It's Sportuccino, but crucially, we're having fun. It's 8 a.m. every morning on Facebook. Well, I mentioned the headlines just before we go. Let's take one more look at them. Boxing heavyweight champion Tyson Fury admits to Rolling Stone magazine that he has done lots of cocaine to cope with depression. Maria Sharapova has her drugs ban reduced to 15 months. England captain Wayne Rooney admits he deserved to be dropped by Manchester United. And F1 team Mercedes agree a deal that could see them join Formula E 2018. Well, I'd also like to know what you think about the international break, the international football week. Personally, I can't stand it. I really wish it wasn't going on, and I hate being that person now. I used to be that guy who would be really annoyed when people were like, oh, it's all about the Premier League, it's all about the Spanish League, we don't care about international football. But after being heartbroken a few times by England in international tournaments, and actually my love of fantasy Premier League, where I like to see how my teams are doing and how many points are going, then when this week comes, it's like 2 weeks of not much happening. You know, and also as a sports journalist, for many of you who might be watching who are sports journalists might realise that it is also a very slow news week at times, and it's not that easy. But that's kind of why I don't like the international football week, because really England should roll over Malta. I'd be very surprised if they don't. All right, we've come towards the end of the show. Just before we go, I want to talk to you about tomorrow's show. We've got a great one. If you love wrestling, WWE No Mercy is this Sunday. You can watch it on the WWE Network. And we are going to preview that event with Paul Benson. I can't wait to chat to him. We're going to predict what is going on. We're going to talk about all of the storylines that have been happening. That will be on Sportuccino tomorrow on Facebook, facebook.com/Sportuccino. Again, if you've liked the show, please share it. Please get involved in the conversation during the show and after it. We love to hear from you on Sportuccino. So remember, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and now as a podcast on iTunes. Today has been Wednesday, the 5th of October. I've been Richard Parr. This has been Sportuccino. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Goodbye.